exposed spirit. Thick storm clouds rolled in, ready to let a flood loose into the cosy little town where Jill lives. Sharp bolts of lightning, coupled with howling winds, rock the buildings and power lines, threatening to dismantle the staple foundations of the city. Weather of such magnitude is a rare occurrence, and so Jill stays safely tucked away in her home. The atmosphere and weather conditions seem to be mimicking her. The heavy rain drops are her tears, and the booming bouts of thunder are her cries. Her muscles are aching from her tremors. Jill rises from her sofa, where she lay alone, to cry. She shuffles her feet across the floor, along the hallway, in the direction of her bedroom. It's the least she can do to let herself sleep. Get some sleep. Get some rest in the comfort of her own bed. Jill switches off the living room lights and moves along down the hallway, her body exhausted from her sobbing. A sharp crack of lightning and rumble of thunder, like a flashbulb, lights up the hallway momentarily, sounding like it's colliding with her house's foundation. So loud and so intense that the walls tremble, just as Jill did when she had crumpled into a pile of tears earlier. Was the house struck? As Jill passes her full frame hallway mirror, she sees something behind her in her own reflection. An apparition of some sort. A silhouette, and it's not her own reflection, it's something behind her. Jill gasps in shock and spins around to check behind her. She needs to know if this apparition of a woman is solid and real, or just a trick of the mind, thrown out by the lightning strike, the flash. Is it an after effect on her eyes? When she spins around, there's nothing there. She blinks rapidly to try and clear her weary and blurred vision. One nervous breakdown was enough for tonight. The last thing Jill needed was her depleted brain taunting her any further anymore. This could be enough to trigger a relapse, and she wouldn't be able to handle that, physically or otherwise. Jill cautiously proceeds along the corridor towards her bedroom. As she enters, she turns on the light. She walks over to her chest, picks up a notepad, and makes a note to herself to call her psychiatrist first thing in the morning. And then she crashes onto her bed, spent, depleted. She doesn't even bother to climb under the sheets. She leaves the bedroom light on. The next day, the sun has come back out after the storm. Jill feels a sense of rejuvenation now that the storm has passed. Today is fresh. Jill visits her psychiatrist, who reassures her that what she saw was undoubtedly the result of her fragile mind due to stress from her breakdown. The brain is a resilient organ, but it sure is a sensitive little thing. Her lady psychiatrist chuckled, then chewed on her pen cap. This wasn't the first time Jill had heard her say that. Her psychiatrist uttered those words, and she took the psychiatrist's words as facts. After all, Dr. Harrison was the expert on this sort of thing, wasn't she? Jill is prescribed a refill of her medication, and she swallows the chalky pills dry in the office, the first dose of the day. Anything to get a head start on flushing away the stress symptoms. Jill returns home. She feels like herself again, and she resumes her routines. But as soon as the sun sets, that evening, it happens again. This time, she's rounding the corner to tend to the laundry, and the ghostly woman reappears in her passing reflection. She's there again. Jill practically jumps out of her own pale skin and begins to tremble. How could this be happening again so soon? The spooky woman behind her in the mirror, not caused by any trick of the lightning flashes blinding her eyes. Jill runs away from the mirror and paces around her living room, back and forth, but it's doing nothing to ease her mind. And perhaps this activity is winding her up even more, making her more edgy. The phone rings, catching Jill off guard and startling her almost as much as the peculiar woman in the mirror. Jill shakes her head from side to side, feeling rather pitiful, and picks up the phone from its cradle. Hello? She answers, desperately hoping it is a friend or a relative calling her to see how she is or deliver some good news. She needs a distraction so terribly, something to take her out of her morose, anxious mindset. But the line remains silent. Hello? Hello? She asks again, sounding timid and stuttering. All she can hear is the crackling of static and a series of peculiar beeps. Beeps coming from the distance of the receiving end. Jill covers her other ear to get a better listen to the beeps, trying to train in on them. Her eyes close as she tries to envision what kind of beeping machine these sounds are coming from. It doesn't sound like someone pressing a keyboard. She tries to think this through, and then a snickering, evil laugh fills the line. Adrenaline takes over. Jill throws the phone violently to the ground. Its plastic cover breaks off, cracks off, and the phone disintegrates. She stares at the smashed up phone and cannot believe what she's done. She's never done anything like this before. Jill has never intentionally broken something she owns in this reactive way. But that sickening, diabolical laugh made her do it. The phone lies completely broken up on the floor. Jill paces again, attempting to flush away her fear. She drops herself onto the sofa and turns on the TV, turning up the volume to listen to that evening's news report. Jill lives in an oceanside community, and the TV anchor is reporting live on the scene of the beach. He stands on the wet sand to point out a layer of rocks. Jill doesn't understand the big deal. But then it clicks. The reporter is describing erosion, a process in which forces of nature wear away parts of the earth. In this case, a rocky coastline that was covered by sands has been revealed after the rain and strong tides. The blast of water and wind and weathering has revealed something below the surface. It has exposed something. Exposed. The phone rings again, despite it being broken on the floor, it still seems to be functional. Jill ignores it. Exposed. Had this storm somehow washed away the covering of something? Something lurking perhaps in her home? Was it there all along? Jill becomes dizzy as the questions swirl. The phone rings again. The tone so loud it hurts her ears. Is this a warning? Was she prey? Or is she being protected by something? Or was there worse yet to come?